So
Are we good?
Much professional.
Are
we good?
So
Much
professional.
You want an intro?
So professional.
An intro, Matt?
Oh my God.
You're
Welcome
good.
to
I'm
the
so
Dice
sorry.
Check channel where we have the most professional shit in the entire world. I'm AGGRESSORS Fly. This is Bricky, and with us we have.
Hey everybody. Tom over here with Jim Dark.
Yep. And then we also have John P. If you want to switch over to John P.
Is the camera on me? Hi.
Yeah. Probably on both
No,
of
it's
us.
still
Hi,
on
you
both.
can still see me.
Hi.
Okay, so like the reason why we don't have them like in the full shot is literally just because fucking the
table's
table is
too
so
big.
big.
Yeah.
We have such a huge table. So yeah, that's why.
for
Anyways,
an
all right.
acronym
So
there.
what we're doing today is that we're gonna go over every single army. This is so if you I didn't write down notes on how to start this.
This is why we have editors.
Yeah, this is why we have editors. Okay, so basically we're double downing on this stream where we're also gonna release it onto the main channel. Just so then for people that want to learn how to play 40K, it's a good introduction on what is wrong with
He
you.
just keeps choking over
choking
here.
on the drink.
And he's just like, oh man, I choked.
I'm drinking a rum and ginger drink, but for some reason it's really gingery. So every time I take a sip, it makes me cough.
All right, anyways, yeah, we're gonna go over every single faction here. The first thing that we're gonna go over is Space Marines. Yeah, and we're just gonna go over every single army, talk about a little bit of their lore, how they play, where they rank about on like the competitive level, pros and cons of playing them, and then also what models you should pick up. So if you ever wanted to learn how to play, then we should probably preface like what Space Marines are, because that's what this whole thing is, right? This is what the whole section is. It's about Space Marines.
Space
So
Marines.
you want to go ahead and give us like an overall of what Space Marines are?
pointing at me?
Yeah.
Okay. Space Marines are genetically altered super soldiers that have had their entire genetic structure like completely re-enhanced. They have extra organs. They move significantly faster. They can't. Weird things like they can't get drunk. All these guys, they're like 8 feet tall. They run at like 50 miles an hour or something, even in their full combat gear. Their skin is extremely like bulletproof. They're really tough.
spit
Yeah,
acid.
they spit acid.
Their armor is like as heavy as a tank.
Yeah, it's as heavy as a
And
tank, but they
and
can
still run like fucking fast.
fast. Yeah,
Well,
they're
leap.
basically.
They don't even run, they just jump.
Yeah, you know when you would play like fucking like an imaginary game with your friends when you were like a kid, and someone was just like,
mine's
"Oh, you
better,
can't,
he can do
yeah,
this."
you can't touch me. I have a force field." That's literally Space Marines.
There's rules for that.
Yeah.
And there's like a reason why they kind of control the meta, because they kind of like, it's like Space Marines versus everyone else, kind of, if you think about it.
Yeah,
like,
Space Marines are
well, Imperial
really
versus everyone else, but like
Well-
Space Marines kind of control like.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
the biggest event in the entire lore, or basically the one that's the most fleshed out, is the Horus Heresy,
Yeah.
which involves all the Primarchs, which are the founding members of the Space Marines.
Yeah,
so
yeah,
it's natural they have the most support.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
naturally they're
Well,
very-
yeah, and they're also, I mean, they're based on a race that we can relate to. Humans.
Yeah.
That
You
too.
know,
Well, so is Imperial Guard.
Yeah, well, exactly. But that's
No,
also
Imperial
the greater Imperial.
They're like
Yeah.
rats.
I think the very first one is Death Watch.
Deathwatch are really cool. They're technically, they operate outside of the normal rules of the like Adeptus Astartes chapters. They're the Ordo Xenos, so they actually take their orders from the Inquisition. And what the Deathwatch specialize in is fighting the Xenos. So their whole thing is that they just hate aliens. That is their like bread and butter. That is at the core of them. That is they hate aliens. They will kill anything that isn't from planet Earth or human. They operate in very specialized teams. They aren't so much a full-fledged army. They are more of like an auxiliary or special forces, if you will, in the world that is special forces. Their lore is just massive. I mean, the amount of
Oh yeah,
stuff
they're
that they
probably
have.
some of the coolest
Yeah,
Space
they-
Marines
they-
out
yeah,
there.
They're like left shoulder. Is it left side? They got the
So
cool
their
shoulder pads on the
their
side?
left arm
Yeah.
is, as you can probably see in some of the photos, their left arm is a silver-plated arm which has the sigil of the Ordo Xenos and the Inquisition. Their right shoulder pauldron shows off their mother chapter, their father chapter, where pretty much where they come from. Because the coolest thing about Deathwatch is that they're not a specific chapter or a specific type of Space Marine. They are the best of the best of the best of all the Space Marine chapters pulled into one. Basically, they pull from every chapter to create their kill teams. units.
Yeah.
Death Watch are the culmination of all of these groups, right?
Yeah.
So they're good to start with because they operate kind of outside of the normal rules that most of these Space Marines they're all specialized in these things. Whereas these guys, they're kind of a jack of all trades, but the main thing that they specialize in is killing aliens. So if you're looking to get into them, the coolest thing is that there are parts for everything. I mean, they have an answer to every alien race they fight. They can disregard marker lights that Tau shoot at them. They can take away fucking stealth, fields. And there's a lot of things that like they have these stratagems that just help them play. So if you're getting into them, they're really cool because they start off with a huge amount of lore. They have really cool box sets of kill teams that you can get. And the kill teams are literally plug and play. I mean, you can take this kill team box that you could pick up at Games Workshop or any game store, build them. They have named characters. You can use them in the kill team game. You can use a bunch of them to build up for your army to use in the 40K game. And then when you take a bunch of them, you can play Apocalypse with them.
Well, let's talk about how they play on tabletop, like how they play on tabletop. What units? Yeah.
Tabletop, they are very much a shooty army. They are all about shooting. They're good gun lines, but they're very much specialized units. So you usually want to take a captain, a librarian, and then various kill teams, and throw in a dreadnought. The best way that they operate is you use these HQs, which is your captains, your librarians, and your apothecaries, and you beef up your kill teams. So you operate them in these little units, and you move them around the table, and you re-roll basically everything. If you stack them with their HQs, because they basically just buff everything they run with.
Yeah. So like, just to clarify, like a kill team is basically you can take a bunch of stuff inside of one unit. Usually, what happens in the game is that you can only take like certain types of units. Like if you have aggressors, it's only one unit of aggressors. But as in a kill team, you can have multiple different types of units inside of one singular unit.
They pretty much operate more like what we know as a military special forces group.
Yeah.
Very much
makes
in
it cool.
40K, you're running one unit, and that's what it does. It does this one thing really well. And they operate like, oh, there's this guy who lets them do this. This guy lets them do this, so they have an assault guy. They let them move fast.
Yeah, it's kind of like a small little guerrilla warfare militia type thing.
Yeah, and they're very formidable on the table. There's a lot of models and there's a lot of rules to them, so they are fairly complex. But once you break that down and you can operate them in these smaller units, it makes the game really fun because your enemy can wipe out one unit of yours, and then you've just got a backup doing the exact same thing on the other side of the table.
Okay. All right. So that's Death Watch. Let's next. We'll go into White Scars next. White Scars is basically like they're Mongolian, right? So diversity. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. Dude, Mongolian barbecue is so good.
And
the White Scars made it.
Yeah.
just from the fumes of like their bikes.
Yeah.
I mean, White Scars are the motorcycle gangs of space.
Yeah. So they're fast. Basically, they always want to be on bikes. They just move super fast. They have rules that make them advance and charge and stuff.
No penalties.
No penalties. They basically just like think of the opening scene in Akira or in Akira. That's basically them. They just want to be on bikes. They're like a biker gang, except that they're in Gravis armor.
Born in the saddle.
Born in the saddle.
Yeah, their whole thing is speed and maneuverability.
Speed.
So White Scars are probably like one of the S tier armies, like just in general in the entire game. They're really, really, really competitive. One of the best armies that are out there just because, they have stuff like advancing and charging. So when they're playing on tabletop, they kind of play kind of like their lore, right?
Yeah.
They're always hitting fast. They hit hard. They go fast.
You want to utilize a lot of fast attack units.
Yeah, lots of fast attack units. They're deadly in both melee combat and in shooting. And that's kind of like how they play. And being able to have an army-wide advance, fall back, and charge is absolutely insane in the game.
Huge.
It's huge because you can just, sit on objectives like all the time, charge something with shock assault, fall back, shoot at it, and then charge again. Like it's crazy good.
Being able to jump into multiple phases in the game is imperative.
Yeah.
And I just want to point out, not every army can advance and charge. 80-90% of models cannot advance and charge. It's like a rule. You can only either move and advance or move and charge.
Yes. All right, let's go with Dark Angels.
All your notes just say bread and butter from here.
Yeah, all of them just say Eradicator, Blade Guard, Eradicator.
Right here, Eradicator.
So Dark Angels, that's me. So Dark Angels are the founding loyalist faction, I guess, that are under the Primarch of the Lion. Dark Angels have a inner circle kind of knight vibe. They're very secretive, and they tend to be basically the embodiment of, you know, like the little black ink you see on CIA and FBI files you see in movies and stuff.
Redacted.
Yeah, redacted. They're basically redacted. They're all redacted. They are very worried about keeping the identity of the Fallen, which is a part of their chapter that kind of went towards chaos, kind of, sort of. It's pretty jumbled, but the Fallen, and anytime any mention of the Fallen is there, they go and they try to kill them off as fast as possible and let no one know about it. So they're very secretive. They're very inner circle, inner secrets. That being said, Dark Angels are really, really good right now. They got a massive
Army-wide
buff.
transhuman.
Yeah.
Well,
For inner circle, right?
no, for one particular unit group.
Oh, what?
It's
Oh,
not
I thought it was-
army-wide.
It's not
I thought it was
army-wide.
army-wide.
No,
Oh,
but
man.
as for units and stuff you want to run with the Dark Angels, naturally a good, decent amount of shooting is pretty big. They have a lot of named stuff. I personally think AZRAEL for the HQs is really interesting. He has a 6-inch 4-up invul to all bikers and infantry, which might change soon because naturally Dark Angels are getting a supplement very soon. Terminators, Deathwing Terminators. You're thinking about lots of bikes, generally any kind of the Ravenwing bikers. So that things like attack bikes, especially attack bikes, and multiple attack bikes right now.
Attack bikes have gotten really
Pretty
good right
good.
now.
Yeah.
They're-
I'm
they're
excited 'cause
really
I love
great.
that model.
Yeah.
Naturally, Outriders, as they are bikes, work out pretty well for them. However, particularly if you're especially going for both effectiveness and for fluff, I don't know if they're going to keep this stratagem, but they have a special thing called Weapons from the Dark Age, which gives them +1 damage on all their plasma for a unit. Which, if you want to, which is a big part of Dark Angels, is plasma weapons.
Yeah. Yep.
So while they're not particularly the greatest thing in the world, Hellblaster
reliable.
squads, but Hellblaster squads in particular, could be really nasty if you wanted to run them, as they are a full plasma squad.
Next up, we have our resident furry here, who's going to talk about Space Wolves.
That's me.
You're the furry!
I'm the furry, man. That's me. They are savage, proud, barbarian Vikings. They have an obsession with wolves. They live on a very cold planet called FEIRROS, an ice planet.
also a wolf.
Wolves everywhere.
The planet is a wolf.
Yeah, the planet is a
But
wolf.
Fenrir is a Viking god. for
Yeah,
wolves.
FEIRROS is a Viking
Yeah,
god for
yeah.
wolves. They got big beards. They wear lots of pelts, lots of like dead animals on them. Bricky mentioned earlier that Space Marines cannot get physically drunk. Space Wolves found a way. They found like a plant that can turn off their pancreas, and they were able to create a beer or an alcoholic drink called mead. That's like
It's mead.
mead. Yeah, it's essentially
mead,
mead. 99% alcohol would kill your average man upon like sniffing it. They drink this like just for fun, and they drink it, and they get drunk.
And they go,
and have a good time.
they go piss in the snow and wake up Bjorn.
Yeah. Naturally, Space Wolves love doing the big deed. They're headstrong. They're fierce. They excel in close combat.
Where are they in the in rankings? Like, how do they?
In rankings, they're Space Marines, so they're obviously top tier. A lot of people like to argue they're probably at the lower end of the Space Marines because they're very melee focused. So if you were to go against something like a Baneblade or like a huge, like a big gun line, you might just die before you even get to them. I would have to say some models that you should buy. Definitely right now, the most fluffiest and most fluffy. The fluffiest and strongest.
The furriest.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
furriest,
And the
fluffiest, cutest, strongest models right now, in my opinion. Also, my favorite are the Thunderwolf Cavalry. It essentially is a Space Marine riding a huge wolf. They're definitely an off-brand Space Marine. They're like non-codex compliant because they kind of do things their own way. They're very like anti-authoritative.
Yeah, they don't give a fuck.
they don't give a
They're,
fuck.
honestly, they're really good for a beginner getting into Space Marines. I think they're one of the like #1 starting Space Marine armies. I think.
Some other models you can Rip Wolfen first things first.
Yeah.
So Wolfguard with jump packs are also really good right now. Any troop choices are really good. Assault intercessors, incursors, infiltrators, all really
Aggressors.
good. Yeah, aggressors. HQ choices are probably where it's at. They have a lot of a really good named, unnamed HQs. So like your generic Primaris Chaplain on Bike, your Wolf Lords on Thunderwolves. They also have a lot of cool named characters. Bjorn is
My boy.
very old man inside of a dreadnought.
He's been around since the
He's
heresy.
not just an
Yeah.
old man, he's a dying man.
Yeah, he's an old
in a
dying man.
dreadnought.
They just keep sending him out there, and he just shoots his lasers at people. Bjorn's really cool. Herald Deathwolf recently got buffed. He has a -1 to all incoming damage, which makes him extremely surprisingly durable.
So do all
Yeah,
Dreadnoughts.
Well, Herald Deathwolf is a Thunderwolf Cavalry.
Oh, he is?
Yeah, he's a
oh,
Thunderwolf
shit, I
Cavalry
thought it was a
character.
Dreadnought. My
Yeah.
bad.
Ragnar BLACKMANE was once
God.
considered the baddest man in the universe until they removed some stratagems that made him really good. Touch the wild. But yeah, really cool model. He fucks everything he touches in melee. Extremely cool model.
The big D.
Yeah.
This is the big D.
Just to
is
clarify,
the
like,
big
that
deed.
means like does well.
Yeah, does well. He fucks.
He
Does fuck.
So Raven Guard are stealth and assassination group of the Space Marines. They're Primarch Corvus Corax. They tend to be memed on quite a bit as being the really, really edgy faction.
They're emo.
Because they got the emo faction. They've got tons of ravens, long, slicked black hair, and pale skin. They're a little bit weird at the moment because I feel like their chapter tactics and stuff kind of go against each other. On one hand, they get the ability with stealthy, which allows them to be in cover outside 18 inches. But at the same time, they also re-roll different kinds of attacks and stuff against characters. It's a little bit of a strange back and forth with their doctrines. That being said, Raven Guard are all about infiltration. And they have some really scary units, particularly in 8th edition where they shine. They had stealthy at 12 inches. They're not quite as good now, but they have the ability to put units into deep strike. If you want the most lore accurate unit, it would be Vanguard veterans with jump packs and double lightning claws. That's kind of their thing. It goes along with their edginess because they got bird masks and their hair and all that stuff. They throw a cape over themselves. Overall, they're a little bit back and forth, but if you're the person who likes spec ops and stealth, you like snipers, you like being sneaky, you like coming out of nowhere, you like being like a 900-pound Marine somehow showing up behind a building like, surprise!
Surprise, motherfucker.
Somehow, that's Raven Guard. They're super stealthy and sneaky, and if you like that kind of stuff, then they're for you. As for units, they love forward deployment. So infiltrators for troops are huge for them because it allows them to get on the objectives really easily, and naturally they want to kind of get the board theirs as soon as possible, not only to stop screens, but naturally if you get your guys out farther, you can, one, stop streams, but also your deep strike has a much easier time of arriving. They love Phobos. They like Phobos Librarian. They have a lot of the infiltrators, as I already mentioned. Besides all of those, it really just comes down to what can you put in deep strike and how much damage can it do when it arrives. I really recommend, if you want a character, to get KAYVAAN or KRAVAN SHRIKE. That's their chapter master. His haircut's kind of funny, but he's pretty nasty. I think he lost his chapter master like full rerolls as they mostly did, and I think he's wonderful to run because he matches the lore, he matches the army style, and he's really, really good.
Okay, so that's Raven Guard. Let's
go back?
go on over
Yeah,
to
we'll
Blood
do Blood
Angels.
Okay,
Yeah?
we're going back to Blood Angels. These guys are vampires. We'll just say that.
The true blood.
The true blood of the Space Marines.
Yeah.
On the outside, they look very pure, very pristine, very angelic. They got jump packs. They got angel wings. On the inside, they are cursed. They have a genetic defect that makes them want to drink blood and become consumed with rage, and they're known to be bloodthirsty in battle. They are constantly reminded of the death of their Primarch. What's his name? Sanguinius? Sanguinius felt a horrible death from the Archtrader Horus.
You got to think about this, right? In the lore, right? When we talk about the heresy, in the very, the Primarchs being so important to these chapters, they speak of them as Space Marines are the Primarch's sons, And the thing is Sanguinius died horrifically to Horus, who is the baddest of the bad guys. And it was so bad when he died that the psychic backlash, right, of him dying drove the entire Legion nuts.
Yeah.
Like, they went into a fury because of it. So it's, lore-wise, dude, I'm you're laughing.
It's
pretty
dope,
funny. It's
but
pretty
it's
funny.
really funny though.
Yeah, well,
It's both.
Their big thing, just like Raven Guard, they got jump packs. They zip across the map. They want to get in close combat, very mobile. They have a lot of cool they had a lot of cool psychic powers.
They'll come back.
They'll come back sometime next month.
Wings of Sanguinius better
Yeah,
come back.
that was. Right now, some must-have units, as Matt has said many times, the bread and butter, the Blade Guard veterans, Outriders, Eradicators, but they have a lot of cool, unique units, such as Sanguinary Guard, Golden Boys.
The most fabulous of the
The
fabulous.
most fabulous. They are bright, shining gold.
Yeah.
They have cool Cupid wings. They're very cost efficient. Some would say a little undercosted. They move 12 inches. They have a -1 to hit in melee. So if you ever get into close combat with these guys, which will happen,
will.
which
Which
you
you
will,
will,
which
you
you
will,
will,
yeah.
they will be hitting you harder than you will be hitting them. Yeah, they also have Death Company, which
Death Company!
Death Company are really cool.
That's my
Two
shit.
Death
Yeah,
Company.
Two Death Company. They are the Blood Angels that kind of got overconsumed by their rage and like I guess like the nightmares of Sanguinius dying.
These are super ornery space marines.
Yeah, super ornery. Most Blood Angels are red. These guys wear black armor because they're edgy. These guys are just consumed with rage. They have a built-in 6-up feel no pain because they're cool and they're different. Personally, I think Inceptors are really cool with plasma. They get a lot of cool keywords like Jump Pack, Primaris, Gravis. They have access to a lot of different stratagems. One unit I should mention is the Sanguinor.
Oh, good. Thank you. Okay, I was about to
The
mention
Sanguinor, he is the ultimate sanguinary guard. He's a big golden boy with huge wings. His model, he looks like this. He looks like he should be like a statue in Italy. He has a really cool ability. I forget what the name of it exactly is called, but he has the ability to heroically intervene from deep strike. So if your guys are in battle, I guess the concept of it is that he like just descends from the sky and sees his guys in battle and he just decides to join them just out of nowhere.
We're gonna talk about salamanders next.
Salamanders are awesome. They come from a very, very, very dark planet that is pretty much volcanic, very similar to our table that we have in front of us.
Actually, this is basically what their planet looks like.
Yeah, this is pretty much what
Yeah.
their planet is. The planet is called Nocturne.
Yeah, this is lava.
Their whole thing and what separates them the most from every other Space Marine chapter out there is that most Space Marines, they don't really give a shit about human lives in general as like the greater, like the small picture. Like, yeah, they're fighting to save the human race, but if there's a bunch of civilians, most Space Marines are like, no, don't worry about that. We got to go fight these guys. Salamanders are very connected to the average human. Salamanders actually have a home life. Like they start as blacksmiths. Basically big blacksmiths. Like that's like their whole thing. They fight dragons on their planet, The cool thing with them is that they love fire. So like if you want to take a lot of flamers and weapons that just melt armor, salamanders.
Yeah,
100%
salamanders.
all the way.
Deltas.
They got master crafted flamers. Their dreadnoughts are dope. Like everybody has
so
like,
tough.
they're super tough.
Look at that fire.
They're also genetically, they are actually one of the largest Space Marines, height-wise.
Yeah.
Most Space Marines are shorter than these guys.
Because Vulcan is like 2 feet.
Huge,
He's like 10 feet tall.
Vulcan is the largest Primarch. But yeah, they love flamers. There's a really cool units. Forge World has some that they call Fire Drakes. Like me and Bricky were actually talking about this tonight. Fire Drakes are like the special flamer forces. They are like the guard of their Primarch. They have lizard skin cloaks. They're real cool. They're awesome models. They hit like a truck. And they just melt everything. Like taking Space Marines, if you want to specifically be like anti-tank and anti-infantry,
So Sally.
Salamanders all the way.
So first of all, they ignore -1 AP.
Yep, flat.
Army wide.
Very tough.
Yeah, so they're super tough, which means that they're hard to hit. They like to be in mid-range combat, so which doesn't really matter too much, just because the table size got smaller
Yeah.
in 9th edition. so
Which
that's
is
good.
even better for flamers and meltas.
Yeah, which is even better. Every single unit can reroll a single wound roll, which is just money.
Yeah, and they
so
can
good.
take master-crafted weapons.
Yeah,
Well,
and you usually have like
especially-
rerolls.
Especially with flamers, which
Yeah.
don't need to hit.
Yeah, which
Yeah.
don't need to hit.
Yeah.
And they
And
get
meltas.
+1 to wound for flamers and melta weapons, and that's why it's so good to take your flamers.
There is one thing I want to mention name character-wise. ADRAX AGATONE, which you
ADRAX.
That
saw
is
him
one,
pop
yeah,
up
yeah,
a lot.
yeah.
Basically, he's a Space Marine captain with -1 damage, a 4 damage hammer. But there's a thing that people don't realize about him. I don't know why people don't run him more often. He has a 6-inch aura of +1 to wound in melee. Flat.
What the
I
fuck?
I think it's
Yeah.
because they already have +1 to wound. Oh well, I guess
they roll-
it's
they
melee.
roll
It's
wound
melee.
rolls.
It's
Yeah,
melee.
yeah.
So imagine him rolling
think-
around with a bunch of blade guards that ignore -1 AP, that with
Yeah.
+1 to hit in melee with reroll, or +1 to wound in melee, rerolling once to hit. He's like 140. And he's -1 damage. He has a 4 damage Thunderhammer.
All right, so let's move on over to Ultramarines. Tom, do you want to take this one?
Oh, God.
If we're talking vanilla,
Ultra.
I think we can all talk Ultramarines.
if we're talking vanilla.
Ultramarines are if you're interested in 40K, you've already seen them. They're the
God.
they're the
Yeah.
blue boys. They're the boys in blue. They're on every box, every artwork.
It's literally up
It's
there.
behind the
it's
Titan.
behind
Behind the
the
Titan.
box.
Oh, the Indominus box, yeah.
Yeah, they are the only ones.
Probably on that box.
Yeah.
They are the only ones with a Primarch who is currently residing. They're the Golden Boys. They're well, I mean,
They're not the
blue
Golden Boys.
They're,
but
yeah, they're the blue
they're,
boys.
they're the token.
Boys in blue.
Boys in blue.
They're so good and so big that they've basically developed their own universe inside of 40K.
Yeah.
They're the driving force. So if you want to talk about Space Marines and everything that's good for Space Marines, that's Ultramarines.
Ultramarines. That's why
what
they're
they do.
Ultra.
Exactly. That is what
They're
they do.
Marines, but Ultra.
Yeah. Everything that comes out for them now, as far as Primaris, as far as aggressors, eradicators, inceptors, you're gonna be fine.
Yeah.
Like,
What's the role that Ultramarines get?
They can fall back and shoot, right?
yeah,
Oh,
fall
that's what
back
it
and
is?
shoot.
Well, that's their ability. Their super doctrine is act as if stationary.
Yeah.
Firing.
So they're
Okay.
very good
Which
mid-range.
made them
Yeah,
really good with
good.
aggressors.
With
back-
aggressors
back
until
in
they
the
got
day, yeah.
changed. Yeah.
But like bolter discipline.
Yeah.
You
Yeah,
get double
the-
shots.
you always get bolter
They're a
Yeah,
very
yeah.
shooty army, but
Yeah.
like I said, they have the ability to, like, taking blade guard vets.
Yeah.
They have the ability to get into
Yeah.
combat.
Yeah,
So
I think
just-
that out of all the Space Marines, they're probably the ones that are the most forgiving. They're the most forgiving, I guess,
Yeah.
out of all
Oh,
the Space
absolutely.
Marines.
Yeah, sure, yeah.
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 As far as like models to get, like everybody, you're gonna get Robute Gilliam.
Yeah.
You should get Bobby G.
Yeah.
You should get Bobby
Oh
G.
yeah.
What did you
I
wanna say?
was gonna say just because Space Marines chapter is considered shooty doesn't mean they're bad in melee. Space Marines.
Oh, yeah.
All Space Marine chapters are good at melee.
Oh, yeah.
Just because
wanted to
Space
mention
Wolves
that.
are melee doesn't
Yeah.
mean they're bad shooting.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
just because Space Wolves and Blade Angels are specialized in melee doesn't mean they're bad shooting.
Exactly.
Space Marines are just good at everything.
So let's go over to Iron Hands. Want to talk about Iron Hands?
Iron Hands. These guys love machines.
Yeah.
Simply put, they believe that flesh is weak and they strive to replace their bodies with machinery. They're renowned for their pride. They are very cold-hearted, they're brutal, remorseless in battle. I guess their thing is that they like dreadnoughts. You want to run like a bunch of relic dreadnoughts with them. Their named character, IRONFATHER FEIRROS, he has an aura to give units a 5-up invul save. So if you have him in a huge brick of, like, let's say intercessors, aggressors, heavy intercessors, you just have this huge blob with an invul save. Army-wide,
I was about
6
to
up
say,
feel no pain.
let's not forget
So
that.
you have a 5-up invul. If that fails, you have a army-wide 6 up feel no pain. If that fails, you can bring in Apothecary to heal your guys up.
Yep.
So have fun killing these guys.
Get FEIRROS, get some dreadnoughts.
Yeah.
Particularly an intercessor blob.
So Grey Knights, fucking. Do you want to blow through this really quick on what Grey Knights are?
Do you want me to explain it?
Yeah. You can
Okay,
go for it.
Grey Knights are a secret group from the Inquisition of the Ordo Malleus. They are demon hunters. They're an entire army full of psychers. They specialize in hunting demons as they work with the Inquisition, kind of like how Death Watch specializes in
Yeah,
hunting
the other
aliens.
side of the coin to Death Watch.
Exactly. They are, since they are mainly psychers, they're very big on teleporting into battle, doing a massive strike, shooting things up with storm bolters, and doing lots of smites, lots of psychic shenanigans. And they're an elite army, so they're generally very small. But for every single Grey Knight, it's worth its weight in 2 Space Marines. They're very powerful.
You usually want to bring paladins at least. That's like your number one
People
thing.
like
You want to
paladins.
buy your paladins. Paladins are number one. Terminators, just as good because of armored resilience. There's a bunch of different ways that you can buff your Terminators.
And OBSEC.
And they also have OBSEC, putting them on terrain makes them -1 to hit. And then they also have,
They're pretty cool.
and then they also have a psychic power that can increase -1 to wound against you. But yeah, and then you can increase their invul and save. There's so many different ways that you can buff up a unit. The main one that you want to
And
run.
take Draigo.
Just take Drago.
Yeah, you can take Draigo.
That's all you gotta do.
Hey, take him for the joke alone. Just take Draigo.
You can take Draigo. Brother captains are also really cool.
Brother.
Captain.
They do have a very unique unit, which is that knight.
The Dread Knight.
The Dread
Dread
Knight.
Knight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's,
Is
it's
that that
basically-
thing?
It's basically power armor for power armor.
It's known as the baby carrier.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
it's hilarious. The downside, even though it looks kind of funny to some people, it actually is. It fucks. It's really
Yeah.
disgusting.
So one of the bad things about Grey Knights is that if you don't buff them, they kind of just fall.
They
apart.
rely on
they,
their
they
stuff,
rely on a
yeah.
lot of their buffs. They also give up aboard the Witch
They
really
bleed
easy.
secondaries.
They bleed secondaries super hard with aboard the Witch.
If you're getting into an army, they're very hard to get into. They're awesome cost-wise because they're very cheap because you don't need many
Yeah.
of them.
And they're great.
But they're super complicated.
Yeah. Imperial
Fists.
Fists. Yeah.
Imperial
It's
Fists
the last one.
are the Sons of Dorn. They
Hit it
are.
off well.
I'm having
Hit it off nice.
Yeah, I'm
They're
doing it.
yellow.
They're
last-
yellow.
They're
yellow
the
boys.
second
Yes.
Ultramarine.
Yeah.
So basically, that's basically what they are. They're the Sons of Dorn, Rogel Dorn, which everyone loves nowadays thanks to text-to-speech. Rogel Dorn was the defender of Terra. He basically helped create the insane stalwart castle that is the. Why am I forgetting the name? Slang of Terror. What's fucking the Golden Throne? But
Yeah.
what is it also? What's outside the Golden Throne? What's it called?
Oh, God.
The Imperial Palace.
Yeah.
That was
like 10
all
Yes.
him. Got it. So they're all about lots of fortifications. They hold down. They're great at keeping a line and stopping a siege. They're the arch rivals of the Iron Warriors, and naturally for them, they're huge into bolters. Their army-wide ability is that no cover saves when you fire at them, or when they fire. Sorry. Which is naturally their idea that they're very good when it comes down to fortifications, so they know how to fight it. So no cover saves, and bolter guns get exploding sixes. Basically, I think it's army wide, and it's all kinds of bolters. So when you're looking for characters and things to take, you want lots of bolt guns, regular bolt guns, auto bolt rifles, aggressors, bolt storm gauntlets. You want heavy bolters.
Yeah.
Bolters.
Also-
Bolters.
I'm done. I'm done with Space
fun
Marines.
fact-
Matt,
Hold on,
why are
I'm
you
so
so angry?
I'm so done. I'm done with it. I'm
Fun
done.
fact,
Fun fact,
they're
look at this fun
also
fact.
the only Space Marine chapter that cannot spit acid.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Oh.
I forgot about that lore bit.
They could drink
I
Meow.
don't know
They,
why my
they,
voice
they can
was so
drink.
high
They
when
can
I
drink
said
this
their,
coming
their
out of their
poison.
mouth.
99% alcohol.
Bro,
It's different.
This is Warhammer.
It's different.
This is Warhammer.
It doesn't make sense.
It doesn't
because
need to make
it's
sense.
Warhammer.
So that's Space Marines. I hope that you
I
guys
didn't know
had
that
fun
fun fact.
listening to
God
Space
damn it.
Marines. There's a lot of them. Thank you guys.
Hashtag.
Thank you guys for watching
watching.
this episode.
Oh, is this multiple
Yeah,
episodes?
this is gonna be multiple episodes. I'm not gonna do this whole fucking thing.
Dude, these Imperial Fist guys can be so angry.
Yeah. But anyways, thank you guys. And if you guys like this video, make sure that you hit the thumbs up and press subscribe. Squeeze.